Hello everyone and welcome to CTN's Happy Tales. I am your host Melissa Bondi. This show focuses on animal rescues, organizations, and individuals who volunteer their time helping and assisting animals in many different capacities. Today I would like to welcome from the Bird Center of Washtenaw County, Andrea Aiuto. She is the clinic director, and their mission is committed to aiding birds, wildlife, and the environment through public education and rehabilitation. And they've been saving birds since 2004. Welcome, Andrea, to the show.
Thank you.
Excited to have you.
Excited to be here.
We've got a bird that we're going to bring on a little later into the show. But first, tell us about the Bird Center of Washtenaw County and how you don't want it to be this little, best kept secret, because you guys do a lot of great things.
We do, yeah. We save birds.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so wild birds come in injured or orphaned, and we are able to rehabilitate them in every possible way and release them back into nature.
Okay. Yeah. And we were talking about touching birds. So do you find that this is something that you learned to do before you got started here? So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started saving these birds?
Yeah, so I graduated as a veterinary technician, and I've been doing that for about 15 years and worked with exotic animals, exotic birds, and I just started wondering about the wild birds out there and who was taking care of all of them. And so I found the Bird Center and started volunteering, and they hired me on as a supervisor, and then over the years I ended up becoming promoted to the director.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Just in kind of the evolution of that.
It is, yeah.
And I mean, so you were a vet tech, so you worked with
so
other
dogs and
animals.
cats and clinic work, yeah, yeah. But I just was feeling like something was missing, and I actually been doing both up until last year, but the director position just requires a lot, so I stepped back from clinic work, so now I'm just a full-time rehabber.
Okay. So give me a day in the life of a rehabber and how, what is it?
Non-stop.
Yeah, I mean, your cell phone, right? Probably just constant.
It's just constant, yeah. So birds, they eat from sunrise to sunset. They sleep at night, so we don't have to take care of them at nighttime. So you don't hear birds at night, right?
Right.
So they're sleeping. So we get to sleep at night, thankfully, but we are feeding from sunrise to sunset. Birds have to eat anywhere from 15 to 30 to 45 minutes. Oh. And we can have about 130 birds in the center at one time, totaling to about 1,300 a season. And that's in just a few months. So we open in May, and we usually run until November.
When you say open, so tell me what's open. What's open? Is this a physical place that we're going to, or is this all volunteer-based off-site?
So we are a facility located in downtown Ann Arbor.
Okay. And
we are in a polling building. So the city has given us this building to use. We use it as year-round when they are not using it, and we have to move out, though, during the elections. So our goal one day is to find a permanent building. But for now, it's in a residential neighborhood, and we start in May when birds are starting to migrate and laying eggs and having babies. We close in November only because most of our birds have migrated at that time. However, this season we are trying to stay open part-time for some of the birds that are still here that will need assistance.
Okay, so it's part of rehabilitation. So that means, you're gonna let them go once they're ready. But do you keep some birds, or do you deem them not able to go back out?
Yeah, so we have some birds that are unreleasable. Usually the best option for them is to try and find a zoo placement. They have many aviaries across the United States where you can find birds if they're looking for placement. Some birds may not be ready in November to be released, and so we have to overwinter them, and then they can be released in spring. So it really depends on all the circumstances.
Okay. Okay. I had a incident recently at my home where we found a nest that had fallen, and there were some babies in there. So we ended up calling. There was 3 different rescues. I think one of yours was a Sunday night, and one of the rescues who did reply back to me they were kind of far. It was like Hamtramck or somewhere far, and they were going to come out and take the babies. So is this something that take them, meaning, care for them because the mama had left.
Right.
So is this something that you find, like, these are the calls you're getting in, and how do you handle it?
Yeah, so we usually recommend for people to call us first before anything. And we really try to go through a process. We try to have people renest the birds, monitor for a parent, see if the parent has come or gone. It can take up to a couple hours. So we really ask of the caller to give us, give the bird patience,
Okay.
And we'll tell you how to renest, we'll tell you how to monitor and watch, and what to look for. If we truly think that bird is abandoned, that's the time when they can come in, and then we can raise them. It does take a licensed rehabber to raise birds, though.
Sure.
It's against the law to raise any protected species. There's only 2 or 3 birds that are not protected. So, and if you don't know how to do it correctly, you can do a lot of harm.
Sure.
So.
What birds, can you say what birds are those?
Yeah, pigeons are actually not protected.
Okay.
Starlings and house sparrows.
Okay.
So those, legally anybody can. However, we still don't really recommend it because they're very sensitive to different things. So if you give something wrong or food incorrectly, it can potentially be fatal.
So yeah, these were robins. So this was a robin. They'd already hatched, so they were 2 little birds together, and it was kind of heartbreaking. So that's something you'd say, no, Melissa, it's a good thing you did not keep those. You can't keep those and raise those.
Right. Because what happens is all the time is even if you do raise them correctly or incorrectly, a couple months down the road go by and you're like, I don't want this bird anymore. And then we get it.
Right.
And then we have to figure out what it's going to happen because it can possibly be imprinted because it was raised by you, so it thinks you're its mother. It thinks it's a human. It doesn't know.
Okay, so that's what imprinted means.
That's what
you mentioned that earlier.
Yep. So we get a lot of birds that can be imprinted, and really, it's not very common to be reversible. So once they're imprinted, it's not a good thing.
Okay, we did talk about birds that you don't rescue, are unable to rescue, and what are those and why?
So we are very small building, so until we get a bigger building, we cannot take in any kind of raptors. Number 1, our building size. Number 2, they eat songbirds, so it wouldn't be good.
Okay.
Also large waterfowl, geese, swans, cranes, anything big like that. We don't do any mammals either. We strictly just stick to songbirds and specialize with them. But we do give advice and know how to do stuff with these birds. So we have been known to go out. We rescued an eagle earlier this season, and we also did a crane earlier. But we always recommend to call us. Call us first. We'll walk you through it, let you know even if that bird needs rescuing, because very high chances it usually doesn't. Surprisingly.
It doesn't need to be rescued.
It doesn't. Yeah. Just because you see it, possibly injured, it might not really be injured. It's a common mistake.
Right. Leave it to the experts. Any ducks, same? No mammals?
So we actually will do ducklings in the beginning of the season. We won't do them, though, close to after June because we're full with songbirds. But we do have room for them in May, and then we have sub-permitted volunteers that work with us that can take the ducks and then raise them once they're old enough. And once you get in 12 ducks and then the next batch of 12 and the next batch of 12, we run out of room quickly.
Right, okay. And what is your phone number and what's your website? So if someone's watching and in the future and they know that they see a bird in distress or they question it, where are they calling and who are they calling and how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we operate daily, so you can call us from 7:30 in the morning until 8:30 at night at 734-761-9640.
Okay.
Birdcenterwashtenaw.org is our website. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, BirdCenter926. So we have all social media platforms. We're also on YouTube. We do on our website updated videos. We do release videos. We do photos. We do a lot of educating the public. So, we got a lot of information out there on our website and Facebook.
You do? Yeah, I did some research on your website as well. And you're all volunteer based, right? And you have a board, but you're volunteer based too.
Correct.
So are you doing the social media? Because you guys have a pretty good presence, for being a nonprofit volunteer.
Right, yeah. I thankfully do get paid. This is my career.
That's your job,
but it's not, it's not a well-paid job, and it isn't for a lot of people, and this is why there's not a lot of wildlife rehabbers out there.
Right.
You really have to have a passion and a drive for this field to know that you're going to be working sometimes 12 hours a day at low pay and exhausted, and You know, we do get some months off in the when the calmer season is in the winter, but it's a very, you know, hard job and compassionate job, tough job.
Well, I was going to say, people do this type of work and do this because they love it.
Correct.
Not necessarily, you know, because of, you know, what the pay is.
Yep.
But it's because they have a passion and a love for it.
Yeah.
I very much respect that. So.
Yeah, I've always wanted to work with animals. I always knew it never was a high-paying field, but I knew that this was what can make me happy, and I can genuinely say every day I go to work, I look forward to it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
About how many volunteers would you say you have? Like,
so roughly set volunteers, I would say anywhere from about 20 to 30. We have an orientation every season at the beginning to get more people in. So that usually occurs in April before we open. And we do an orientation and then see who wants to come on. So every year it changes. So we're trying to get more and more every year as we're growing as a bigger facility. Sure. Plus we have interns, so they help also.
Okay, well, on that note,
yeah,
we're going to take a short break and we're going to watch this video that gets up close with the center's volunteers and the birds and see exactly what they do. We'll be right back.
Every year, 1,000 birds are brought to the Bird Center of Washtenaw County. They arrive injured or orphaned and too young to care for themselves. And they arrive frightened. But these birds are the fortunate ones, because a kind-hearted person rescued them and brought them to us. Here, in our care, they receive food, safe housing, and any needed medical attention until they recover and regain enough strength to return to their natural environment. Volunteers are the lifeblood of our rescue and rehabilitation work. It takes lots of volunteers for tasks such as checking a bird's progress towards recovery, cleaning their pens, feeding and more feeding, or assisting with a variety of other tasks. It is through our volunteers that we give these birds a second chance for a healthy life.
It's such an honor to be able to go out and be able not only to save an animal, but be able to get it out of a situation and then, you know, bringing it back to the center, and then it's even better when you get to see that the bird does good. That's the best part.
My favorite bird this summer was probably a baby hummingbird that we got in fairly late in the summer. A woman had found him just sitting on her patio. He was just a wee little baby. It had probably hatched only a couple of days ago. Just a tiny little thing. He did really well, and you know, it warmed my heart a little bit to see, you know, that tiny little face poking up in the morning. He got released just in time for the end of hummingbird migration, so he has a little bit of time to bulk up before they head down to Mexico.
The Bird Center is important to me because as humans, I feel we've affected our habitat so much, and so a lot of the birds that come through are not necessarily harmed by human hands, but we've still taken away their habitat. We've still made windows and walls that they collide into. We spray poisons on their food. And so just knowing that I can help a small percentage of the wildlife that's affected, doing anything I can to minimize their suffering is very important to me.
Most of my job consisted of making sure that the birds received all the needs that they had. So things like cleaning out their cages, making sure that they were fresh and clean, not, you know, surrounded by anything that could harm them, making sure they were warm, making sure they were well fed and happy. Things like that, and occasionally helping out with some of the more medical aspects of things, giving them their medications, helping with any bandaging. But for the most part, it was, you know, just what you would do for anything that was in a hospital or anything else, trying to keep them comfortable and keep them healthy.
This year I took care of the baby baskets, changing the babies. I just love working with the little birds and feeding them mealworms or berries. You can tell what the birds need. They'll tell you if they want a berry or a mealworm.
We have a lot of laughs, we have a lot of good times, and all in the vein of helping care for the birds.
This is a great place to volunteer at because we always need help with feeding, cleaning, running errands, doing stuff for us, promotions, anything. There's so many different opportunities and spots here at the Bird Center.
I wish that people knew that the Bird Center existed and knew that it was, a place where you could come and volunteer, a place where you can come and help wildlife, a place where you can come and learn really cool skills and work with great people.
Some people worry, that they won't know what to do, but you get plenty of training, and the interns are wonderful. They're always willing to answer your question. Even if you ask it more than once, they'll answer it again for you.
If working at the center itself isn't for you, we also need volunteers who will host a flight cage on their property. A flight cage is where birds live just before being released. It's large enough for them to fly around and strengthen their wings. They also become accustomed to being out of doors again. It's a vital part of their process of recovery. You'll feed and monitor some birds for a few days and then release them. Hosting a flight cage is fun, a wonderful service to the birds, and very gratifying when you see them return to their natural home.
The type of people that volunteer at the Bird Center is everybody, young, old, male, female, people who are very outgoing, people who are very introverts, every type personality. When we're there, we're all one, so we are there for one reason, and that's to care for the birds. Please do volunteer at the Bird Center. It is so rewarding. If you don't feel appreciated in life, come to the Bird Center, and you will find that you are very appreciated.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the second half of Happy Tales. I am here today with Andrea from the Bird Center of Washtenaw County, and now joining us is Miss Raylene, and she's going to come on and show us. She's also brought on Blue. Is it Blue?
Blue.
Yeah, hi. And so tell us about Blue. Obviously she's a blue jay.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the bird, and then.
Yeah, so Blue came in actually the first year I started as an imprinted bird. So as we kind of mentioned before, birds can be imprinted if they're raised by humans. And this bird thought it was that. She's gonna peck hard. She was mimicking noises, cell phone, microwave noises, things like that, and we knew,
oh my God.
And she was landing on people and things, and we just knew that she couldn't be releasable. Now, blue jays are part of the corvid species, which are with crows, so they're very, very intelligent. So you can actually hear blue jays in the wild making odd noises, even mimicking hawks as like an alert. However, making noises that you would hear on a daily basis inside was not something suitable for an outside bird.
Okay.
And she was just too used to people. So she's been with us. Raylene is her handler. We also have another handler that works with her, and they go around to shows. Blue is actually permitted to do a certain amount of shows every season, and she meets children and goes to schools and does a whole bunch of fun things educating the public.
So, but talking about wild birds, so this is not a bird that I'm going to be able to, I know this, to touch and hold and feed because it's a wild bird and it's only by the handler. So how do you find that a challenge when you're out, doing your outreach?
Yeah, it's hard. A lot of people want to come up and pet her and stroke her and stuff, but we still want people to know she's a wild bird. It does give you the wonderful opportunity to see a bird up close. You can actually even see her up close today that she's just got out of her molt, and she doesn't have a giant crest like she usually was. It looks like she just got a haircut.
Yeah, very groomed.
Yes, very pretty. But yeah, people instantly want to, pet her.
Touch
and that's,
it. Yeah, especially kids, I would think, too.
Sure. But if we, just like regardless of the wild, we teach everybody the wild is wild. It's best to leave it wild. It's best to look with our eyes and just not touch and only intervene when truly needed.
So you want to show, you brought some mealworms. So this
did.
is part of their dietary.
She eats mealworms. She likes nuts and fruits and berries. We let the kids at shows feed her mealworms. Okay. And she'll eat them right off your hand. And the kids just absolutely love it. They just think it's so much fun. And kids aren't afraid of insects, they don't care about worms.
I know adults are funny like that. We don't want to touch them, but the kids don't mind.
Right.
So is she able to fly?
She can, yeah. And she lives in Raylene's house, and she gets the ability to be able to fly around in the home and stuff. And she's out of the cage at times, and she enjoys that. She, I know, hides stuff underneath their different like the microwave, or not the microwave, the keyboard. Takes pieces of the keyboard out from the computer and will remove them.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
We were talking about the fact that blue jays are more aggressive, but obviously this one is, like you said, imprinted. So, but I do notice at the bird feeder at my home, that when the blue jays come, the other birds scatter.
Yeah.
So is it just
yeah, they're very territorial and aggressive. They'll bring their whole family because, like the corvids, they travel with families. So they tend to be in flocks more than by themselves.
Okay.
And a larger bird like this is definitely scary, possibly, to some of the smaller birds, so they scatter immediately. And they're very vocal, so they let you know when they're coming. So yeah, and they eat pretty much every type of food you can put out, so there's really nothing stopping them.
Okay. So say this bird is a little smaller than the ones I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, the males are a lot bigger,
Yeah.
and she's just more petite, but surprising when you do get up close to them, some of them don't seem as big as what they really are.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times they'll be puffed up trying to protect their territory, and you'll think that, but they, you know, show off their feathers that way.
Do you want to talk about the eggs real quick?
Sure, yeah. So we have eggs here. These are Blue's eggs. So even though she doesn't have a mate, she can still have eggs. None of them are fertile, but these are what blue jay eggs look like. So she laid a whole bunch this year, up to 12 at the beginning of the season, which is a lot for her.
Okay, and these are not hatching, and there's nothing in them.
Nothing in them, hollow eggs.
But she does it every year. Is it a yearly?
Yep. And you can see, like, there's nothing in this one. We remove the eggs at times after she lays them, but we increase her calcium because it's a really hard issue on her when she lays that many eggs. So it's normal, and we want her to lay eggs because if she doesn't, they can get egg bound, which is an actual emergency and can actually rupture inside if it were to happen. So we want her to lay her eggs. It means she's healthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thanks, Raylene. Thanks, Blue, for coming on today.
Thanks, Blue.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit now about, you've got an Amazon wish list page. So tell us, what is it that the Bird Center needs from the public?
So we are a nonprofit, so we go off of donations only. So we really need from the public donations of any sort, whether that's cash or items. So we go through paper towel and gloves nonstop. Our mealworms can cost up to $500 every week. We go through about 100,000 mealworms, live mealworms in a week. So that's pricey. Medications, that can cost a lot. Supplies, food. So anything that we normally use is on our Amazon wish list. Other than that, we do have a PayPal account where donations can be sent directly to help support us and these birds. So without the public help, we couldn't really be doing what we do.
Absolutely. And I noticed one of the items, we're going to make a slide on this for our bulletin board, but was syringes.
Yeah.
So, and I have quite a bit, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. I'm going to throw it away as a piece of plastic. And it was awesome to read that today, and I was like, oh, if I knew that, I would have brought them.
Yeah, I mean, all we
cotton
use.
balls, and you had your household items.
Q-tips. I mean, all the things that you would think of that medical supplies that would be in a hospital, a vet hospital, a human hospital, we use, bandaging material, gauze wrap,
And people can drop it off at the center?
So we have through our Amazon, it is directly sent off to the center. We don't really publicly give out our address. We have had some issues in the past where people will drop off birds without us being there. Or people just come with birds without us knowing. And so we really like to talk to you before you come. So if you specifically want to send something to us directly, let us know and we'll make arrangements. Otherwise, everything through Amazon is shipped to us, but that's why Amazon works.
Awesome. And then real quick also, we wanted to talk about Chimney Swifts before we...
Yeah, so this
what is a Chimney Swift? Real quick.
So everybody thinks the Chimney Swift is a bat. So they come out, you see them more at night, early evening. They're out all the time. You don't ever see them though. But they go back into their roost at nighttime, and they're catching most of the bugs at nighttime because that's when the bugs come out, right? So they're eating all of our mosquitoes, just like the bats are, and they look like bats. They have their black bodies with some shiny iridescence, and they fly and soar. They eat and sleep while they are flying. They're pretty incredible. So
Okay.
Ann Arbor has a few chimney swift roosts that you can actually visit and see the swifts coming
Really?
out in the sunrise and going down at sunset. We have currently about 22 of them in the center. You will often know if you have chimney swifts in your chimney because you will hear the nonstop chattering. We do recommend, if you can tolerate it, to please, number one, they're federally protected, so it's best to leave them. But if they do fall, which they commonly do, call us and we'll give you tips on how to renest them in a chimney.
Okay.
A lot of chimney sites are being shut down. Not many houses have chimneys anymore, or old chimneys are covered and capped. So they're running out of places to have their nests, and their numbers are going down. And so we want to do everything we can to protect them.
Okay.
We do have an annual event that we hold in October. We work with the Audubon Society.
Okay.
It's called Swift Night Out, and it's in Farmington Hills. It's actually called the Swift Chimney Roost or something like that. Over 50,000 chimney swifts come at this time every year for migration and meet at this giant chimney roost. And so throughout October you can go there and see it, but we actually will be there for an event. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of amazing.
It's really, the sky is black. It's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Do you have
any
video of
bird
this on your YouTube?
they have actually a camera inside the chimney.
Okay.
And it was working before about last year, and you can see all the swifts going down into the chimney. So, but we have videos and and pictures of stuff. But yeah, we'll be putting out information on that as soon as we get the date for the event.
Okay, so we can find it on the website.
Yes.
Okay, and social media, of
Yep.
course. Okay. Okay. Well, this was really fun. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.
So much for coming on today and to really lean into blue.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
You are very welcome. Well, that's it for this episode of Happy Tales. And for more programming, you can visit CTN at a2gov.org/CTN or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. #CTN Ann Arbor. And again, thanks for watching this episode of Happy Tales.